We just did constraints, and now we're going to go do another little project. So one thing before we hopped too far into the project, I wanted to tell you a little bit about distinct. So let's say we wanted to do select distinct star from recipe photos. Recipes photos. Oh, not that one. Maybe recipe ingredients. And you want to do it on recipe ID. Okay. So what distinct does here, look at these two different queries. You can basically ignore the top one. Let me just redo that without the distinct there. What distinct does is it's going to find the first incantation of whatever we're looking at. So I said on recipe ID here. So notice that there's only one recipe 1, or recipe ID 1. There's only one recipe ID 2, whereas down here there's 3 and then down here there's 2. That's what the distinct part does, is it basically says, I only want the distinct, interesting one of these. Or another really useful one of these would be select distinct type from ingredients. I didn't need the on because I wasn't doing anything like window function, like I wasn't looking at other parts of the table. I was just looking at just the type, which is what this is. So this tells me all of the distinct types that exist in the ingredients table. I only have fruit, meat, vegetable, and other. That's it. So that's what the distinct keyword does, is it means just give me all of the individual distinct versions that exist of that. Right. Whereas if I just do select type from ingredients, I'm going to get a lot of repetition, right? So the distinct collapses that down into just the distinct various items. So grabbing that and looking at this, let's say I wanted to just get the first photo of every single item in the database. I can do select distinct on that recipe ID like you saw there above. But this is actually now only going to give me the first photo instead of all photos. So if I do that, notice I only have one of each of the recipe IDs. You know what we didn't do? We did not add back the photos. So let's go ahead and do that really quick. That was in the relationships. Yeah, so down here, this one. So you might need to insert this again. I need to. So insert into recipes photo. There we go. So now notice for every single one of these recipes, I only have one photo. I have the first cookie, the first empanada, the first jollof rice, the first shakshuka, khachapuri, and then the chow long bao. I have the, because I did the left join here, right? But it doesn't have a photo, which is fine. We still got it, even without the photo. Does that make sense what that query is doing? It's going to be necessary because I want you to grab the first primary photo for each one of these. And I can actually even show you how to make this a little bit even prettier. So let me grab this and put this over here in VS Code because it's a little bit easier to read. So you need the r.title and the rp.url. You probably need other things as well, but I'm just going to show you these two. This chow long bao doesn't have a photo. Now in my code, I could handle that, right? I could say if there's no photo, do a thing. But I can also have Postgres do the heavy lifting here for me, and I can say coalesce. If it doesn't exist, then give me default.jpg as URL. Pretty sure that should work. And now you can see I got cookies, I got empanada, jollof rice, khachapuri, and notice that even though Xiao Long Bao doesn't have Xiao Long, I've been saying that so much today that my brain is not connecting all of the, I probably wasn't saying it right in the first place, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, soup dumplings now has a default.jpg, and that's what this coalesce does. It basically says, check this to see if it's null or null-like or something like that. And if it is null, give me this. If it's not, then just return that. And that's what coalesce does. Does that make sense? Cool. So that's a nice little trick so that you don't have to go and like check to see is this null across all of your rows that you're returning. Okay? The on recipe ID means only one of these is allowed per row, right? So I only have one cookie, one empanada, one jollof rice, so on and so forth. There's a bunch of ways you can solve this. You technically could solve all of this with one query. I actually ended up doing this with 2 queries in my completed results because I felt like it was more clear and it made more sense. That is going to be totally up to you of how you choose to solve this problem. It's fine to do multiple queries in one API request. In fact, I would even say it's common. So use your best judgment. Sometimes writing the biggest, weirdest query is not the best way to get there. It's better off done in multiple different queries. And faster, frequently, as well, right? Because if you have complex joins, it means Postgres is doing a lot of work for you. Sometimes that's not what you want. I am going to have you do one thing with me. So come back here to the project, and I want you to click on this big SQL query with a bunch of recipes thing right here. That's going to download recipes.sql. I've downloaded it a few times because I make sure it works. Click on that. This opens in my VS Code. This might open in a different thing for you. All I want you to do is I just want you to copy, Command-A, Control-Copy, and then I want you to paste this into recipe, your database. It's a long query. So you can see here I put a lot of stuff in your table because I want you to have like a lot of recipes and stuff to draw upon, right? But if you want to look at, this is literally everything that you've done before. I just put a lot of recipes in here. Nothing here should be surprising to you. Yeah, nothing should be surprising. So now if you say select, just so you know, count star is how you count how many things are in a table. From recipes, we have 56 recipes. From ingredients, we have 126 ingredients. From recipe ingredients, we have 170 connections, right? So just so you know, the other container that I provided you that we're going to use in the second half just runs this query exactly. It's actually literally the same query. So you can also just use that other container if you feel more comfortable with that. That's up to you.